my name is Joey. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm working with my Didi's Deluxe Bead Box, the July 2025 edition. I'm going to do an unboxing, and I've already designed 2 pairs of earrings and 2 bracelets. So I think we'll make the earrings in the unboxing video, and I'll come back in a separate video and do the set of bracelets that I'm planning. This box is so good. Stella, the founder and curator of the box at Didi Beads, is amazing with her beads. The theme this month is called Fiery Azure, and her box always starts with a inspired by Czech designer strand, and it is amazing this month. Look how beautiful and vibrant the colors are. I just love the mixes of golds and antique brass or bronze, and the red, and there's a lot of different shades of blue, and some classic Czech glass flowers. These are awesome because they're in the shape of coin beads, so you can really do a lot with them. Focals with them. You can make your drops on the ends of your chains, like so you don't have an empty extender chain. It's so beautiful. And then this is one of my favorite things in the box. You'll be seeing this in my next video because I want a bracelet out of this so that I can see it and enjoy it. These are irregular shaped red coral nuggets. There is a full 9-inch strand here, and they're going to be between 8 and 12 millimeter. And you know, they are a natural element. So look at that one. Each one has its own little shape, its own story. It is a beautiful strand of beads, and it's so smooth. It's glassy and soft and smooth. Look at this one with its cool little shape. I can't put it down. It's just wonderful to play with. So I definitely want a bracelet out of that. And then these look to be black because this is such a dark midnight blue. It's called dark azure blue. These are jade nuggets. There's a 7.5-inch strand here, and these are going to vary between 12 and 14 millimeters. So again, a natural element. They really do look black even to the eye, but certain ways that they turn, you can really see that midnight dark blue. But they are so rich, and again, they're cool to the touch. They have a nice weight. They're really smooth and soft. You know, gemstones just feel so great against our skin. It's just a natural element that just feels so great. And then another gemstone. This is a 6 millimeter aquamarine, and there's a full 15-inch strand here. And again, look at the accent of going from the reds and oranges into the light blues and dark blues. It's just really stunning. I love a 6 millimeter bead. It's just such a great size, so versatile. You can do your entire piece of jewelry out of it, multi-strands. You can make a spacer out of it. The 6 millimeter is just such a bead perfect size in my universe. And this one, I don't actually know what this is because I have on my list a pear-shaped crystal for this one, and clearly this is a glass bead, like a smooth round druck. It may be Czech glass. It has this fabulous like electroplating on it, so you get all this variation from blues to golds to greens, like a green gold. It's a beautiful bead, very smooth, like a cool to the touch, and just perfect because it has a little metallic story to it, which just looks great with the gemstones. Up next is a 15-inch strand of an electroplated opaque cerulean crystal strand. There is a 15-inch strand here, and it is just a stunning bead. It's this beautiful kind of dusty blue. Cerulean is its own color, you know, has its own special color of blue, but the electroplating gives it a lot of flash and sparkle. I mean, they sparkle just truly. And there is more sparkle in this box. Speaking of sparkle, I'm just going to pull my dish up to the camera. Look at these. These are 3 by 4 millimeter. It's a fiery crystal teardrop mix, and it is amazing. These are going to go in at least my first project, but I love them so much. Look how they glisten. I mean, they are amazing. I just love them. I think it's the size, it's the color mix, it's all the sparkle and flash in there, but they're just amazing. I can't wait to show you what I'm going to do with them in my projects today. And then the next thing we have is Czech glass flower, which is pretty, you know, it's a flower that I think most of us have seen if you've been around beads for any time at all, but they are the perfect accent to this box. They are red with a gold wash, and it's an 8mm, but it's a coral red. So it's that fiery orange red, and it just looks amazing with this. And when I saw this, I just thought there's enough here to really do a bracelet and really make a statement with these. So I think that's what I'm going to do with mine. And then I absolutely love these leaves. Stella always finds something unique that I haven't seen before. This is a very sort of contemporary shaped leaf. It's not your typical leaf, leaf green or even typical leaf shape. It's got a really contemporary vibe to it, is what I'm trying to say, I think, very inarticulately, but it's absolutely beautiful. And there's two colors in here. There's one that's a bit more gold and one that has a little bit more of the blues and greens in it. It's absolutely gorgeous. This is called Champagne and AB Blue Crystal Leaves, and on our list it says 2 sets, which is exactly how I saw it, because these are going to be a pair of earrings, and these are just gorgeous. I don't know what I'm going to do with these yet, but I was thinking about on my bracelet to attach them as charms like that, so there's like a statement leaf on one of my bracelets. So I'll play with that, but these for sure are going in my first project. And then I adore these. Oh my goodness, it's so fun to get links in a box. And these are embossed flower links in this beautiful antique bronze. They are just gorgeous. They're smooth on the back, and there's just quite a lot of detail in the embossed flower and leaf on the front. And there is enough here to do a really nice long, very nice long link. There's 6 pieces here, and if you lay them out, they are pretty much a bracelet length. So hint, hint, that's probably what's going to happen with mine. And then these are gorgeous oval flower spacer beads. The oval size is so charming. 10 by 6mm, again in the antique bronze. All the metals match. It is accented with some brighter gold, which I just love. These are very warm metals, and they go perfectly with the warm, really hot colors of the orange and red. And I just absolutely love these. And you can even, what I saw when I looked at these, is making these into links by just doing a simple loop with a wire and a simple loop, and you can actually turn these into really sweet little oval links. So that might be what happens to mine. There's 4 of them here, so also these would make really beautiful earring findings. So I'm going to play with that. It's just really beautiful. And then matching in the metals are 2 toggle clasps, just really beautiful, clean lines, simple, elegant, and lovely, and in the matching metal. And then there's always a bonus item in Stella's box. This is a 40mm blue enameled stainless steel 4-leaf pendant. Isn't it gorgeous? It's absolutely beautiful. It's got a really nice weight to it. I just love this. It's so gorgeous, and when you lay it on the blues and reds, it's really stunning. My 2 favorite words in jewelry, simple and stunning. You can do like very basic, simple stringing and add this in to the middle of a necklace, and it looks like you've done this amazing amount of work when really it's just great supplies. And the projects just come so easily when your box is this beautiful, this high quality, and this well curated. So once again, Stella, yay, I applaud you. I'm just going to clean up a little bit and dive right into my first 2 projects. Okay, so my 2 earrings are done. Look how cute this is. I know that's not a great camera angle, but it's very dangly and flirty. And if you can't tell, I am using the circle part of the toggle clasps that were in the box for this pair of earrings. And I am going to use the T-bar part in my next video. I'll show you how this is going to be the closure in my set of bracelets. So they're not going to waste. I'm not throwing away half of the toggle set, but I just think it's so cute. I love the geometry of a circle. And then, I don't know, the colors in this box reminded me of like firecrackers because of the reds and the oranges, and I just thought this kind of mimicked like sparklers and like firecrackers. So that one is done, and I'm actually making my ear wire. Let me show you again. I'm actually doing one of my all-in-one ear wires for this earring. I love doing it. This is anti-tarnish craft wire, so it really lasts a long time. To me, it's a little step up from the commercially made plated ear wires. And then this earring, I made it so that it can go on my gold filled interchangeable lever back ear wires. It just sits in that little cradle right there. So you open them, take your drop off, and you can change them. So these are convertible / interchangeable. I love doing earrings that way. Really, if you only get one bead box a month, you have a steady flow of beads, and jewelry makers make a lot of earrings. So this way you don't need an ear wire every time. So look at this. I used the crystals, those tiny little crystals, and some 11-0 seed beads, and I cut open the designer strand and grabbed a couple of things from that. I did my magical crimping plier, but because of the profile of this rondelle, it's very difficult to get the magical crimping plier in there. And so I decided to put a bead cover on top because my crimp didn't look perfect. It's strong, but it didn't loop perfect. And that just makes this a little bit more of a gold presence. So this is also very dangly, very sparkly, and just beautiful for summer. So you will need a one-step looper. Well, you can do this with your pliers, but I use my one-step looper when I have to make some drops like this, and it saves me from having to measure. The tool does everything for me. So I'll show you how I did that. And a magical crimping plier, a number 2 crimp tube, a small crimp cover. I'm using a little piece of my Softflex Garnet Color 49 strand bead stringing wire. It's just the perfect color for the reds and oranges in this box. And what else? Oh, some ball head pins for the earring with the dangle. And this is just what I had in my stash. Mine are quite fine, so my one-step looper doesn't want to make the cuts. You know, this tool is wonderful, but it has its niche. If you have a really fine wire, it doesn't like that so much. And if you have super thick wire, it doesn't like that so much. But this is what I had, and I made it work. I'll show you. It's super, super easy. Okay, let's do this one first. Neither one are complicated, but let's do this one first because there's a little bit of stringing here. So what I did is I started by putting my leaf bead through first. And then I know that this is a little concave on this side, so that's the front, and this convex side that doesn't have the embossing in it, it's smooth, that goes on the back. And then I'm just going to string my pattern, which was a gold seed bead on either side. So in essence, I'm making a crystal and gold loop or jump ring to connect to the top of the earring. It's just so pretty and so effective and so simple. So just a gold 11-0 seed bead on each side. And then I strung these teardrop crystals. Let me start in the same direction. So on the each side, I started with the thicker side of the teardrop crystal and strung that, and another seed bead, and then did the skinnier side, the pointy side, toward. So can you see it makes almost like a little hourglass? And there's just 3 on each side. That was all it took to make the sweet size loop. And then on this side, I'm going to do the thicker side of the teardrop. They're very small, but I just kind of kept my pattern going like that. And I'm going to do the exact same thing on this side. So it looks like that, and I'm not putting a seed bead there. It's on either side. I'm not doing the seed bead because it's going to feed, right? I'm going to feed both wires over one of the disc spacers. I did have to go into my stash for some disc spacers for the other earring, and if you didn't notice, I am mixing the antique bronze and the bright shiny gold. I love those two mixes, so I'm doing that in my piece, and that's basically what the earring looks like, is just making a beautiful crystal and gold, kind of a fancy jump ring, and going into this little stack of beads. And now I'm going to feed my crimp tube onto both wires and let it come down to my rondelle. And then I'm going to take my other wire, one of my wires, one is going to hang out and the other one is going to be a loop that goes back down. And once I get it through, I'll show you how I organize myself when I'm going to make a loop with bead stringing wire. So it's coming out right there, and I'm just going to pull everything into position. So when you're making earrings with wire, it's very easy to control the orientation of your loops. But with the 49 strand bead stringing wire and a crimp tube, you really have to pay attention, because like right now, the way that loop is turned, it's not going to go onto my ear wire properly. It's going to make this hang sideways and not so that the front of the leaf is showing. So before you crimp, first of all, get your loop the size that you want it to be. And I'm going to take my pliers here, and the wire that's hanging out I don't need to worry about so much. But before I crimp, I want to make sure that that loop is parallel to my mat. And when I crimp it, it will stay like that. And then my leaf will always be facing the right direction on my earring. I don't know if that makes sense, but let me get this to the right loop length, and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so everything is pushed down. My wire is looped back through, and I can see now that this is facing the right direction. But I can, adjust it with my pliers. And like I said, the rondelle has this kind of flat plane here, and it makes it a little tricky to get the magical crimping plier in there. So what I did is I grabbed my loop and got my crimping plier right over as best that I could. And if you can see, that loop is facing the direction that it needs to be to go on the ear wire and keep my leaf facing forward. I hope that makes sense. So now I'm going to close my tool and come in the opposite direction. And again, I have to deal with the shape of that rondelle bead at the top of my stack, but just get my tool in there in the opposite direction and close again, and just go around a few times. And then, as I said, I opted to put, it's okay, but I wasn't really thrilled. Normally I get a perfect little bead, and I wasn't really thrilled with the way it looked, so I decided to just put a crimp cover over it. And if you're still practicing with your not one-step looper, with your magical crimping plier, and you do mangle a crimp where you don't have a perfect bead, that is a really good way to save your crimp and not waste and have to keep redoing if it doesn't look just the way you want it. I mean, it's okay, but I'm still going to put a crimp cover over it. And for newer people, if you've never used a crimp cover, it's like a hollow bead with a split. And I'm going to put my plier in here and open it out just a little bit. It's very malleable metal. Just going to open just to give myself a little bit more space. And again, I have the front and back, like I know this is the front of my earring. So if it's possible to put my crimp cover here where the opening is to the back of my earring, then it's really looks like a final bead. And nobody that makes jewelry, nobody that doesn't make jewelry can tell how this earring is held together. It just looks continuous. So I'm just going to gently close that crimp cover, not be too aggressive. It's very soft metal, and just trick the eye, make it look like a bead. Keep working side to side, sometimes top to bottom if you need to, and just close up that seam. And so it looks like a little gold bead, and it's almost impossible to tell how this earring is held together. It's infinity. You can't see where it starts or stops. And then I love this little cradle in the interchangeable ear wire. No, I always get it backwards, dyslexic like crazy. And you just thread it on, put it in your ear. They're easy to take in and out, and look at that. And it's so dangly, but lightweight, but still a really beautiful statement. I just love this design. So pretty. Okay, on to the next one. This is what we have, and I'm going to take a piece of my 20 gauge wire, and I am using my 2¼ millimeter one-step looper. For the toggle ring, you need, because of the thickness here, you need a little larger loop. So this was the perfect size. I'm just going to put my wire in. I really need a new one-step looper. It's not even cutting my 20 gauge wire. I've had this for, I don't know, maybe close to 10 years, and it's a blade. So, like any blade, after doing thousands and thousands of loops, it needs to be sharpened. So see, it's not making a perfectly clean cut there. It's trying, but I really need to get a new one. Okay, I'm going to take my toggle ring and put it on that loop and close it. And here's where I start to determine what is the front and what is the back of my earring, which is really important when you're doing this all in one, where your bead stack also becomes the ear wire. It's important to know what your front is. And just for a seamless look, let me close this a little bit better and I'll show you. Just for a seamless look, that this is going to be the back of my earring, so that when I look at the front, there's no opening. It's just continuous and seamless. Just a little detail. Since you're the maker, you know, you have control over that. Probably nobody would notice when it's done, but I know. So it looks like that. And now the stack that is going to happen is one of these Tibetan spacers from my stash. And there were 2 of these red crystals on the designer strand. And then I'm going to come to the top here and grab the wire. And again, I need to make sure that I am looking directly at the front of my design. And I am going to bend this wire forward about 45 degrees or even a little bit more. What that is doing is keeping this bead on. And so as long as it's the right angle so that that bead doesn't come off, that will work. And then I used my 6-step bail making plier, and I wanted really contemporary, like swooping, like a really big ear hook. So I used this larger mandrel or this larger step on the bail, but you can do them really skinny. At this point, you can really decide how you want the ear wire. But again, keeping my design facing forward and nice and straight, I'm going to fit everything in there and make sure that everything is straight before I do this next step. So I'm looking to make sure everything is totally straight, and I'm going to wrap this wire around this barrel, this step, and just kind of bring it back. You can do adjustments afterwards. You can make adjustments, but the ear wire is in there. And now I'm going to match this up to my other as best I can and trim this. And I'm going to need this for components for my next project, for my video with my bracelets. And now for the drops. So what I did for the drops is I have these 2 different lengths of ball head pins, but you can do them all the same. I'm going to use the longer one. I do want it to be nice and straight. I have tools everywhere. Let me clean up a little bit. I do want my head pin to start out nice and straight, but you could actually purposefully put some jagged, like some bends in it if you like that look. Maybe make it look like lightning, but I did it this way. I'm just going to grab some of these crystals. I did let them be random. And I'm going to do 1 crystal facing down, an 11-0 seed bead, and 1 crystal facing up. And then on this one, I took my long head pin and I put it just past the back jaw of the plier by just, oh no, on that one, what did I do? Let me remember. When I'm making earrings, when I do a sample, I forget so quickly what I did. I really have to make them both at the same time. Let me see what I did. I think on this one, what I did is there's a guide hole here, and I put the wire in just so that it was coming out just a little bit of the guide hole. Can you see it? And make sure that this is against the back plate. You get a much better loop. And as I said, this probably isn't going to be super happy because my ball head pins are so fine, but that just kind of saved me from measuring, and it did make my cut for me. And see how it wants to flip out? It's really important to keep your wire against this back plate when you're using this tool. And you guys, you can totally do this with your pliers. You know, I do my simple loops with my pliers too, but when I need to make measurements, this saves me from measuring. But you can totally even use a Sharpie marker to get your measurement on there. So now I'm going to open this loop, and this is my long center drop on my earring. And just get in here and close it. A little tricky to close it because of the thickness of the ring, but it can be done. And I like to work hard and just hold on to everything and get it straight. And like I said, if you wanted to put, you could put some purposeful bends if you want it to look like lightning bolts or sparklers, but I kind of like them straight. Let's see how I did. Yep, I got my center drop exactly the same as my other earring. And I'm going to do the same thing for the two smaller sides. Just do one of the teardrops facing down, one seed bead, and one of the teardrops facing up. It's ever so slight. There's a thicker or a wider base than there is on the top. And then again, these are shorter ball head pins. So to avoid measuring, I came to my tool and put it in just a little bit past the back jaw, and it's not happy making the cut for me. It almost like made a little bend, but that's totally okay because I'm using it anyway to avoid measuring. And you know, I can just come right here with my snips and remove where it didn't do a great cut. It's terrible to be a right-brained person. I avoid getting my ruler out. I avoid measuring at all costs, and I do these little tricks too so that I can just make with my heart, and you know, I eyeball a lot of things. But if you're a measurer, you can totally measure and, you know, make little marks and get them exact. The only challenge I found on this is the really fine wire and the thickness of this ring. Just had to be patient to get in there to close my loop. And get a hold of it and make sure everything is straight. These are the ball head pins that I had. I've been working a lot with pearls, so these are quite fine. They go through the smaller holes in pearls, but they work. I mean, I'm making them work, but use what you have. Okay, I'm going to repeat the exact same thing. And this one gets attached on the other side. Work harden a little bit. Oh, look at that. Isn't that the cutest little earring? I love those so much. That's the kind of thing that I would reach for all the time. So 2 more steps when you do this all-in-one ear wire. I'm going to take my flat nose pliers and come to the very end and kick that out and do the same thing on this ear. And then you can take a buffing block, like what you would remove paint from metal to create a patina, or you can take a diamond nail file or whatever you have to remove the sharpness. But I use my battery operated bead reamer with the rounder, the wire rounder attachment on the end, and I just fit the wire in, press the button, and it removes any sharpness from the cut. It's a very professional way to finish your ear wires. Simple, easy. I'm a jewelry toolaholic. I love doing this. I love having this little tool. Okay, these are gorgeous. I love my 2 pairs of earrings, and I will be back with another video. I'm going to do a set of bracelets, and I thank Stella so much. She is amazing with her box. I do have a discount code to the Didi Beads website, but it is for new customers, and it does not work on her monthly box that she does. And for those of you that are not familiar, the Didi's Deluxe Bead Box is not a subscription box. It is a limited edition, first come, first serve box. And it really does sell out every month. She has increased her quantity, and she may be doing so again, but it goes for sale on the 12th of every month. So she always says, mark your calendars, because if you want to try to get this box, you really have to not delay, and it's always good, so you won't be disappointed. But if you want to try to get the August box, then definitely go on her website on the 12th. That's when she releases, puts the next one up for sale, and she just does an amazing job. She finds the most beautiful, incredible beads, a lot of surprises in her box. They're just wonderful. So I thank you so much for watching. I hope you found some inspiration in the projects today, and I will see you guys in the next video. Ciao, everybody.